President Trump fighting back hard against the Russia investigation. It appears he's taken off the gloves and putting on the foil. For the very first time, the president calling out special counsel Robert Mueller by name on Twitter, saying, quote, "Why does the Mueller team have 13 hardened Democrats, some big crooked Hillary supporters, and 0 Republicans? Another Dem recently added, does anyone think this is fair? And yet there is no collusion." Didn't his attorneys warn him not to goad the special counsel on social media? And is he now planning to fire Robert Mueller? The White House says now, and several Republican lawmakers, including Lindsey Graham, have said firing him would be a terrible idea. But the president's team has some momentum this week, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions fired FBI Director Andrew McCabe just hours before his retirement, meaning he may not get his entire pension. A number of Republicans have applauded the move, saying McCabe was a lying partisan hack. So should the president fire Robert Mueller the way he did Andrew McCabe? And did McCabe get what he deserved? Joining me now, Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz. Welcome back to the show, Congressman.
Thank you, Kennedy. And to answer your question, Andrew McCabe absolutely got what he deserved. He was authorizing leaks to the media. He was depriving the Washington, D.C. field office of jurisdiction when it came to investigating Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. And he was working with people at the Department of Justice to pave the way so that Hillary Clinton never had to face consequences. That's not investigative work. It's partisan hackery, and I think the Attorney General did the right thing. Now I think the Attorney General should call on Bob Mueller to produce the evidence he has, and if there's no evidence of collusion, which is what we suspect, we should wrap up this matter, get on to tax cuts, infrastructure, the other work we've got to do to save this great country.
All right, but the problem with special counsel, as we all know, is you can start out with one aim that can be quickly broadened, and that was the directive that was given to Robert Mueller by Rod Rosenstein, who is the acting attorney general in this case now that Jeff Sessions has recused himself. Speaking of recusal, one thing that it looks like Andrew McCabe didn't recuse until he thought Hillary Clinton was going to lose. It wasn't until a week before the election. What does that timing tell you?
Well, it tells me that there was a basis for Andrew McCabe to recuse himself much sooner. That's not just my analysis. It's the analysis that Pete Strzok and Lisa Page were sharing with each other over text messages when they were asking one another why there was no recusal of Andrew McCabe at an earlier time. Likely they knew because they were hatching an insurance policy in his office, also evidenced by their text messages. And so you've got a cabal of people who were influential at the FBI and Department of Justice who were doing everything they can to manifest their bias against President Trump and in favor of Hillary Clinton.
Did you read the Inspector General's report?
I've not yet read the report. We've not received it in the Judiciary Committee. I suspect we will get an advance copy. We have learned through some reports that the leaking of information to reporters seems to be the fundamental basis of the termination of Mr. McCabe.
All right, so who's in bigger trouble for that? Is it James Comey or Andrew McCabe?
That is an important question that we need to ask, and it's one that will likely require the testimony of Mr. Comey. Andrew McCabe gave confidential testimony to the Judiciary Committee where it became very clear that he was taking positions that were opposite of those positions taken by Mr. Comey under oath. So either Mr. McCabe wasn't telling the truth or Mr. Comey wasn't telling the truth. I think we've got to get them both under oath in public, ask them these important questions, and see if we can get a straight story out of them.
All right, so it appears that senior leadership at the FBI may have been compromised in Hillary Clinton's favor. Do you think that they were acting alone, or is there evidence that they were somehow working with the Clinton campaign or the Obama administration to maintain the former president's legacy, making sure that Hillary Clinton got elected?
This was not Andrew McCabe and James Comey acting alone. The testimony that Andrew McCabe has given makes me believe that there were people at the Department of Justice who were paving the way for Hillary Clinton. There's evidence for that, Kennedy. If you look at the key Hillary Clinton confidants, people like Susan Rice, who got immunity deals that never should have been given by the Department of Justice. So you had DOJ making sure that anybody who could incriminate Hillary Clinton got immunity so that they would have every reason not to tell the truth about Hillary. And and I think that's one of the reasons why she never faced a criminal consequence.
Well, she also was just shown to be extremely careless and not grossly negligent. And there's obviously very different legal ramifications when employing those two separate phrases. I think you're right. There are a number of questions about who was given immunity and when, how far that reached. And also, there were not enough questions about the search parameters used in deciding which emails the former Secretary of State deleted, because there are many, many unanswered questions with those sacrificed emails. I hope this is not political theater on both sides. I hope we come to some answers on this to show people that what has gone on here so far is very wrong without damaging the reputation of law enforcement in this country.
We need a Department of Justice and an FBI that work efficiently and effectively and that are free of political bias. And what you're so right about, Kennedy, is that this is not a partisan issue. Republicans and Democrats will both be in power in the future. That's why we need reforms to ensure that we've got the right transparency and oversight, and we never again have a circumstance where these agencies become so political that they're engaged in hackery rather than the investigative work that the American people deserve.
Or that they become so powerful that they can weaponize their surveillance abilities to spy on anyone at their political peril. Congressman Gaetz, thank you so much.